Are COVID lockdowns coming back as CDC warns of new variant? Let's take a look at a clip.
Perhaps I spoke too soon last night
Loud.
when I discussed the potential return of COVID mandates and lockdowns, because rapidly these mandates are being implemented, old policies are being reinstated, and
This is
it is
insane.
happening right now. Take a look at this story from yesterday. Lionsgate brings back mask mandates in office. As a new variant, EG5, becomes dominant, the studio is asking some of its employees to mask up and self-test. There's a lot of stories to break down. We've got universities. We've got Biden calling for people to get to get vaccinated. We've got Forbes giving advice on when you should get your new and latest booster because of these dangerous new variants. We've got a report that a man from Japan has brought the new dangerous BA variant into this country.
Oh, no.
More and more, we are seeing these stories emerge. But I want to show you one thing before we get into all this news so you can see it happening.
Who has
Just give old COVID
COVID
mandates a good old Google search. And as I did this
Everyone
morning,
should have
because I am
antibodies at
pulling
this
up
point.
research on the latest reports, we can see that the whitehouse.gov National COVID-19 Preparedness Plan was updated 33 minutes before I
I mean, I always thought the lockdowns were dumb, since the beginning. But now it's so weird because almost everyone has antibodies. Almost everyone's had COVID, right? So the people that have had COVID really are rude, right? Because that's such a small part of the population now, and they just want everyone to lock down just because they haven't had it yet. I don't even know. I think everyone's probably just had it and they don't know it.
started recording this video. I don't know what that means, right? For all we know, there was a typo on the page. They changed a sentence. This National COVID Preparedness Plan has been up, I think, since like 2021, but it has been updated. So we've got a lot going on. We've got Biden urging Americans to get their new COVID-19 boosters. Rutgers is enforcing a vaccine mandate.
No,
Atlanta
already had
College
COVID.
is reinstating its COVID-19 mask mandate as students return. Rutgers is saying they're going to disenroll people if they don't get their, I think, triple vaxxed.
Wow.
It looks like COVID
Why would you want to go to this
lockdowns
school
are
anyway?
back on the menu. Oh, boy. Just in time for a major election cycle.
What do
This is
you
what I find
know?
fascinating. There's to break this down. One thing that I was saying about Joe Biden's inability to win in 2024. Let's start here. Why this may be happening. For one, there's a lot of people who are paranoid about COVID. A lot of older people, definitely people in big cities where the population is particularly dense. They're very paranoid. That could be a strong reason. In fact, it's probably one of the only reasons
we
to
never
actually get
cared.
these lockdowns. There may be political
Here in Austin, people cared for like a month, maybe two, few months maybe. After like the first year, I remember, this was months after. This was in December. I remember I went out on Christmas Eve and COVID all kicked off in March. So like 7 months after, I didn't see anyone with masks on. People were all at bars having fun. And this was like 2 years before any of the rest of the country reopened.
reasons behind locking things down, but the only way you get people to comply is if they are scared of COVID. But I said this, I don't think Joe Biden can win. At least right now, Joe Biden is in the polls rivaling Trump. At this time in the election cycle, in the last election cycle, Biden was ahead of Trump. Trump was way down. And the margin for Trump's loss in 2020 was lower than his victory in 2016, only 42,000 votes across 3 states. That's why this whole election thing erupted, because Trump was basically like, that's it? 42,000? Right. If Trump maintains his 75 million vote count, even 74, I don't see Joe Biden winning because they don't have COVID lockdowns. And Joe Biden has led this country rather poorly. The economy ain't doing too well. I wouldn't, look, there's a lot of arguments about whether it's good or bad. I think it's chaotic is the easiest way to explain it. Certainly, sometimes stocks are up. We've got high interest rates. There's fears of inflation. Inflation's cooled down a little bit. It goes back and forth. But all I got to do is look at gas prices. And gas prices, at least where I'm at, are over $4. Well, they're floating around $4. And that's a bad sign for whoever's in office.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to say about politics. And then I'll read you through all this COVID lockdown stuff. With the lockdowns, they were able to do universal mail-in voting. They were able to keep people away from sports and movies. People were locked in their homes, bored out of their minds, panicked.
Hollywood's
and the TV kept
destroyed.
screaming, Donald Trump did this. He was the problem. You see, when Donald Trump was giving his daily COVID briefings, his approval ratings started to go up because people were starting to feel better. So what happened? Oh boy, the networks pulled his COVID briefings off the air, calling him a liar. That's right. Political. You see, I think without the lockdowns, they got nothing. Who's going to vote for Joe Biden? Now, I will tell all these people who are like, there's no way Joe Biden got these votes and won. Dude, you're right. Joe Biden didn't get 81 million votes. Anti-Trump got 81 million votes because the TV blamed Trump. They knock on doors. They say, fill this out. They go to nursing homes, ballot harvesting,
I think
ballot
he's
chasing.
partially right.
That's how they pulled it off. It doesn't matter in the big cities so much. It matters in the swing states. So now they're bringing these lockdowns back, it would seem. And the reason I want to cover this right now is as we are at the front door to the potential return of lockdowns.
If they wanted to do lockdowns again, and you got to get a really scary virus. COVID was so overblown the entire time, and everybody knows it now. So now the variants now are less lethal and everything. So people just aren't going to put up with it. Even if you got something really scary and really lethal, man, after the 2 years of being locked down, it was just 2 years ago. I don't think anyone's going to put up with it. Some people will, I'm sure, but the majority of Americans, I do not think so.
Vaccine mandates and mask mandates. It's best you know about it ASAP.
Yep,
lest you be ambushed by it, but it is here. Now, I will also add the double-edged sword nature of the lockdowns. They blamed Donald Trump the first time, and that got a lot of people really angry, and they voted against Donald Trump. They said these lockdowns are his fault. Donald Trump was the one who came out and said 15 days to slow the spread. And then they were complaining about his leadership, and the governors were like, oh, if you Trump this, Trump that. They blame him for everything. They're not going to be able to do it this time. In fact, it's going to be Joe Biden who screws this one up.
Yep,
this could create a massive negative
that's interesting, right?
impact.
They want to do the lockdowns, and then if it just backfires on Biden because of it. But then they'll just do the mail-in voting and everything. That's probably their plan. They don't want people to go vote in person. They want to just everyone to do the mail-in, so the same thing will happen over again. That's their plan. At 3 a.m, a bunch of votes are here all of a sudden. They're all mail-in, and 99.9% of them are all for Biden. They want to do that again. But yeah, it could. If they did do lockdowns again, it could backfire. But again, I don't think anyone's going to put up with it, especially because it's just COVID again. People are just over COVID, right? People aren't even scared of it anymore. The thing is most people have gotten it the last 2 years since the 15 days that slowed the spread and everyone was scared and everything. People got it, and they're like, yeah, like me, I got it once or twice and potentially twice. And I'm like, okay, it sucked. It wasn't fun. I hate being sick in general. It's awful. But is it worth all the lockdowns and all the money to the economy and just all of these businesses closing and everything? Not even close.
On Biden's campaign, people are going to say it was under the Democrat leadership we ended up with all of these problems and another lockdown, more mandates. I don't want to live that way. But there's another potentiality. While that may lead to a Donald Trump victory, because we don't think Joe Biden can actually win. Most people don't think he can win. Look, right now the polls have it at a coin toss, but they're not taking into consideration that 12th grade males, voting age males now entering the voting block, are skewing conservative. They're going to vote for Trump. Yep. Liberal young people, really hard to get them to vote liberal. They really don't care. It's all, social media influencer stuff. Young conservative dudes, they're going to go vote. They want to be part of this.
Yeah.
Here's an alternative. This could spike Joe Biden massively and create a path for Gavin Newsom to come in and say, Joe, you let us down. We were done with COVID, and then under your...
Funny, every time someone brings up Newsom, people countrywide are going to hate Newsom. So he might be right. Tim might be right on this. They might be trying to do that. But I always think that every time that comes up, people are going to like Biden more than Newsom. Look at all the stuff Newsom did in California during the lockdowns and everything. He's a giant hypocrite. He lies all the time about stats and stuff. He does it all the time. He compares Texas and Florida to California, and he just brings up all these false stats and lies about stuff, and people are just going to see right through it. And the only Biden at least was the vice president under Obama, who is a really popular president, at least the first few years. So that's why Biden would win. But Newsom, it's like, ugh, they're going to sour on him. He's kind of like a Ron DeSantis, right? It's like, boring.
Leadership, it is time. This bad, the COVID came back and I'm going to come in and fix it all. Don't be surprised if in 2028 there's another, oh no, COVID's back. 2032, oh no, COVID's back. It's just going to keep happening, isn't it? Lionsgate brings back mask mandates in the office. Hollywood
Sounds
Reporter
hilarious.
says, is it starting again? Oh boy. A Hollywood studio has instituted a mask mandate for its employees in light of the current COVID wave. Really? Lionsgate sent an email to staff asking them to mask up on certain floors of its Santa Monica office after several employees caught the virus. The studio is also asking employees to conduct self-screening before coming into office. While this is obviously just one office of one studio, the move comes amid some national buzz about whether mask mandates might be returning as variant EG5 has become dominant in the United States. Oh, heavens me! You also have this story from Inside Paper. Traveler from Japan tests positive for the new COVID variant BA286, Virginia, the second case of the new variant in the United States. Here we go. Hollywood Reporter goes on to say,
they already played this
the variety has caused an
they're
apparent boost in cases.
Go for it again.
Yet experts also said this Omicron descendant variant, which has been spreading domestically since April, has thus far shown to be no more of a cause for concern than previous variants, according to reporting by the New York Times. The new variety isn't expected to cause a major wave akin to the first Omicron outbreak. Last May, the film industry relaxed its COVID protocols to require no longer require masks in the workplace. Deadline was first to report the news. Here you go. From Forbes.com, new COVID boosters expected this fall. Why some doctors suggest holding off on getting your booster until then. Oh, really?
It's been years and they still can't give
new COVID boosters, pending approval, will only target the coronavirus's Eris strain and other XBB subvariants, which make up most cases in the U.S., causing some experts to encourage patients to wait for the new shots. Well, there you go. The Biden administration, as of 2 days ago, will be urging Americans to get new COVID-19 boosters. I can only say this as it pertains to vaccines and whatnot. You've had a couple years to find a good doctor. I know it's not easy, but listen, man, you got to get medical advice from someone who understands this, and doctors who understand this are out there. I do not accept this idea that every doctor is part of some secret, cabal. Or, that's probably unfair. That every doctor is blindly marching in lockstep. There are bad doctors, there are good doctors. And you've got to do the work to find the good doctors. The good doctors. It's not going to be easy. We have this from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Atlanta College reinstates COVID-19 mask mandate as students return to city. Oh boy. Here we go. A week after classes began, Morris Brown College is once again requiring students and employees to wear face masks on campus. The small private Atlanta college announced the mask mandate Sunday in a letter to faculty, staff, and students, saying the requirements and other COVID-19 safety protocols will be in place for 2 weeks. The college cited reports of positive cases among students in the Atlanta University Center as the reason for the decision.
Reminds me of that 15
Morris
days
Brown
to slow
President
the spread,
Kevin James.
doesn't it? Why 2 weeks? If it's going to continue, it's just going to be way longer than that.
Told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution in an email Monday that the college has received no reports of cases on its own campus yet. He described the steps as precautionary measures. Let's read that one more time. Morris Brown President told AJC they have received no reports of COVID, but they're taking precautionary measures. You can take precautionary measures anytime for any reason. Why now? I just think it's a wonderful coincidence that a presidential election cycle is now kicking off. Ad spending has begun. Woo. Now, we here in the media industry are celebrating with party poppers and fireworks in politics season because, oh boy, the ad spend from all of these political parties is just absolutely massive.
Yeah.
But understand this. As these ad spends start to increase, you will see the politicking increase alongside it.
Yes.
The Atlanta University Center consists of several historically black colleges and universities on the city's west side. Morehouse and Spelman colleges and Clark Atlanta University began classes Wednesday. Morehouse's website states that the current alert level within the Atlanta University Center Consortium is green, the lowest of a 4-tiered alert system. The green designation means the prevalence of the virus is minimal. What are they going to do? Are they going to claim that Donald Trump caused this ongoing, lingering problem? And they say, if Donald Trump took care of this properly, we wouldn't have a resurgence. We the Biden administration did everything right, and then, it starts coming back. It was Trump's fault.
They probably will.
I don't know how they navigate this one, to be completely honest.
I don't either.
We got Brown Institute says Rutgers set to disenroll students on August 15th if not compliant with COVID vaccine mandates. On March 25th, 2021,
still have mandates.
Rutgers University became the first university in the nation to announce it would require students to take COVID vaccines for the fall 2021 enrollment, retracting its January 8th, 2020 announcement that with our stance of human liberties and our history of protecting that, the vaccine is not mandatory. What happened within a few short months that made Rutgers ultimately decide to heck with students' civil liberties? Rutgers claimed, and still does to this day, that it has commitment to health and safety for all members. As of today, Rutgers remains one of less than 100 universities out of 2,697 four-year colleges to refuse to let go of vaccine mandates. Now, I don't know.
Don't go to this school.
I don't know exactly if this means anything. Rutgers apparently has maintained this. There are many places that have never dropped their COVID policies.
Well, they're bringing it
Maine
back up,
being one of them. This is what I talked about yesterday. I went up to Portland, Maine for the weekend, and I learned while no one is following the policies, the mask policies have never been lifted.
Insanity.
That was crazy to me. I shouldn't say mask policy. I was told that Maine never dropped its COVID lockdown policies. I guess people just slowly stopped listening to them. That's a good sign.
Yeah, they're not going to listen again then, right?
This means that there's no re-implementing the policies. Now, they might come out and say it's time to start reinforcing this and try. But if they're already in effect and culturally no one cares,
just turned into a joke.
What are they going to do? Make another of the same law in the same order? They may have health officials go out and start issuing fines, and then restaurants are going to get angry. But it may not stand. Because right now, what may occur depends on the judges. If they come out and say in Maine, okay, look, I know we've never gotten rid of the mask policy, but we stopped enforcing it. Now we're going to. A judge may argue you can't do that. You can't drop enforcement and then just start singling out individuals.
Probably depends
We'll
on the
see.
judge.
I'd assume many of these judges are going to be happy with all of the insanity.
Yeah,
So it may just be that it all comes back. We'll see what happens. I honestly don't know, but it really does look like we are gearing up for some serious lockdowns. Warroom.org. Natalie Winters writes, Biden has already begun buying COVID-19 equipment, hiring pandemic safety protocol enforcers.
Here we go.
Now, this is what the War Room writes. Let's read what they have to say. And again, I want to see some evidence. What do you got, War Room? What's your evidence?
Yeah, War Room.
Natalie Winters
Sure
writes, the federal
evidence.
government has started purchasing COVID-19 equipment and hiring advisors on safety protocols amid speculation the Biden White House will reinstate pandemic-era lockdowns and mandates. The unearthed government contracts from entities including the DOD show millions in taxpayer funds being used to purchase COVID-19 equipment, such as test kits. Some of the contracts, which are traceable via the federal government's spending database, are even scheduled to begin in
Big
future
Pharma
months,
must be so
such as
happy about
October
this.
and December.
More money.
The DOD, for example, gave Hologic Sales and Services a $1.5 million contract beginning on October 1st. What is this? USspending.gov. We have a document here. Set to conclude in May of 2024. The federal database reveals Hologic COVID testing services in support of the Department of Pathology at Madigan Army Medical Center in Tacoma, Washington. I'm going to pause right here and be skeptical. First, understand. War Room has a 0 NewsGuard score. We all trust NewsGuard, don't we? Here's what I would say to this. Take it all with a grain of salt. I think that's absolutely fair. The framing here, and I think Natalie Winters is coming tonight. We can talk about this on IRL.
Jesus is going to be
The narrative here, the suggestion is that COVID lockdown may be coming because of this contract. Well, look, if this contract ends in May, they're going to do it just through the primaries, and it's COVID testing, 1.5 million. It's not a whole lot of money. They say the Department of Veteran Affairs also inked a $2 million contract with Abbott Molecular beginning on September 22nd, set to conclude September of 2024. Now, that's more interesting. It will provide testing services for viruses, including COVID-19. Here's what I can say about this. Let's pull this up. USspending.gov shows this is real. War Room is not wrong. This award amount did happen. Hologic COVID testing services in support of the Department of Pathology at Madigan Army Medical Center. But we don't know exactly what that means. It could be specifically just this one Army Medical Center getting funding, 1.5 million, not that much money in the grand scheme of things. I don't think that suggests a massive nationwide role at the federal level.
I'd agree.
$2 million. Do we have
It could
the
just
U.S.
be the
spending
start,
up here?
though. It's weird
Abbott
this is even
Molecular. And
happening.
I will also say, like, absolutely excellent work digging these things up to War Room.
I'd agree.
So we have this. That's Hologic, and then we have Abbott Molecular has received this Alinity M COVID testing, HIV
They have
testing,
zero use
HPV
card, of
testing
course they
supplies.
do.
This is not outright just COVID. Here's what I mean to say. Why I bring this up. Interesting what they're spending money on. But look, $3.5 million is a drop in the hat in terms of what they're going to need for a massive rollout. I
Very
do
true.
not see this as being indicative of any kind of major rollout occurring.
I'd agree with that.
All of these stories I've shown you
It's like a just
are
in case for
opening
the
a
people who
potential
want
door.
it.
They are grains of sand.
Yep,
The question
exactly.
is, when do the grains of sand dropped make a heap?
Yep.
The most important thing is to pay attention to what's happening right now, because it would seem COVID mandates are coming back. In many places, they're here. One small Hollywood studio, university is now enforcing heavily, or I should say not now enforcing, but it is heavily enforcing the vaccine mandate. Biden's going to push for more vaccines and all that stuff. It is all preliminary. It may not come back. We'll see. We've got 2 hospitals in upstate New York that have already brought back their mask mandates. There are concerns about new variants, calls for testing, calls for vaccination. We saw the Forbes article. Right now, it's hard to say for sure because it has only just begun. But what did Hollywood Reporter say? Is it starting again? I think that's the appropriate question. Is it starting again? Pay attention to all the little things that are happening around you. While not one of them suggests a grand mass nationwide rollout, all of them could be the beginning.
Yeah.
They cannot just come out and say, we hereby decree the mandates are back.
Yeah, 15
has
days
to be
show-
done
slow the
slowly.
spread is back.
It'll start with, because of the variant, we're going to have employees mask up.
Yep.
Alex Jones has that viral video where he says a TSA whistleblower says they're coming back. So here's what may happen.
Oh,
In October, they're going to say, we got this new variant. So passengers, you have the choice, but we are going to have our employees begin masking up because they're here every day. Then you're going to get employees sick. They're going to say, oh no, TSA agents are getting sick. We have to slow down travel again.
Yep.
We don't have
Gotta-
the need.
everyone
We
has
can't
to
have,
have a
we don't
mask
have the
again.
ability. Pilots getting sick. Then they're going to say, to protect our employees because of the amount of travel and to maintain your ability to fly for the holidays, you got to wear a
Mask.
mask.
Yep.
And they're going to say, listen, for those of you that want to travel, the people who don't wear masks, they're going to get the employees sick. The pilots,
Even
the
though
flight
our friends
attendants,
already
the
had
TSA agents, the gate agents. And then
Who
nobody
hasn't
will
had
fly.
COVID?
Don't you want to go home for Christmas and Thanksgiving? Better wear your mask. And that's
Even
where it
though
begins.
Everyone's vaxxed.
But again,
during
man,
COVID.
We'll see. I
Most
think it's
people
important
both.
to remain vigilant, paying attention to this. And I think we need to assert our rights and make sure this is all done legally and properly, which I think in many instances it was not done legally and properly.
Yep.
But I can only tell you this. If Maine has these policies still in effect, they just stopped listening to it. You live in the cities, it's what you get. You live in the middle of nowhere, no one's going to notice. We'll see. Next segment's
We'll
coming up
see.
at 1 p.m. on this channel.
I don't know. I agree with most cities, but like I said, I live in Austin. I don't think anyone's gonna care. I could definitely be wrong about that. I hope I'm not wrong, because yeah, this stuff is annoying. We didn't follow this stuff in Austin for the longest time. We go to the stores and stuff, and at first it was a thing, but it just quickly wore off. You know, after like the first when the vaccines first came out, people just stopped caring, and I don't think people are gonna put up with it again. It's been, if it was like 10 years ago, okay, probably, but it just happened. People are going to be cooped up in their houses. People aren't going to put masks on again. And who even really cares? Again, everyone has already had COVID. If you're not worried about getting it because you've already had it, and if you're vaccinated, yeah, it's just like, why would you even do masks and lockdowns? Because it's weird, right? They were saying that people had to wear masks and and all this stuff at first because we didn't have any access to vaccinations the first year. But then as the people started getting vaccinated, they were like, okay, slowly lifting them. The spikes went down. They can't go back up, right? I don't know. Very interesting, but yeah, for me, I don't know. It's a toss up. I didn't think this could have happened last time, so I don't think people will put up with it again. But what did I know the last time, right? If you like this video, be sure to subscribe for daily news updates, smash that like button, share this video with your friends, and share your thoughts on the story in the comments below. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.